I'm Donna Bush with your CIGTV News Update. Thanks for joining us. The Ministry of Financial Services and Home Affairs announces the appointment of an interim chief fire officer for the local fire service. Mr. Paul Walker, a senior manager with 30 years of fire and rescue experience, has been appointed to serve a one-year interim appointment with the department. He is currently finishing a 5-year tour as the chief officer, fire officer that is, for the Cornwall Fire and Rescue Service in the United Kingdom, and will begin employment with the CIFS towards the end of 2019. Ministry leaders explained that during the interim period, a recruitment exercise will be carried out to permanently fill the substantive role within the fire service. The chief officer for the ministry, Dr. Dax Bazdeo, explained a one-year interim appointment is necessary to allow the 3 recently promoted deputy chief fire officers adequate time to pursue further professional development and qualifications that will enable them to meet the requirements of the role of chief fire officer. It has also invested considerably effort in the comprehensive revision of the organizational chart and job descriptions for personnel within the fire service, which now reflect the United Kingdom National Occupational Standards for all fire officers, so that each post has a clear indication of those requirements. Also making our headlines on this Monday, the Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park, along with private sector partners, boost the completion of its grow zone. The second finished flat feature of the children's garden, which is currently under development. Now, a press release states that the grow zone is an area made up of 8 structured raised bed planters. These planters are generally easier to maintain and will allow young gardeners to spend more time learning in the garden rather than struggling with challenges like difficult soil conditions and weeds. Botanic Park staff hope that students who visit will take away important horticultural information such as the life cycle of a plant, insects and pollination, and the needs of a plant, including water, light, and temperature. Concepts learned while gardening can also help children to develop a respect and responsibility for taking care of our environment, said Botanic Park manager John Lazarus. The grow zone is large enough to accommodate several visiting school groups at one time. They will have an area which they can call their own, and through lessons taught in the Rotary Schoolhouse by teachers and members of the Botanic Park staff, children can learn all of the basics of growing plants. Now, if you'd like more information about the Children's Grow Zone, you can contact the park manager, Mr. Lazarus, on 947-9462 or email manager@botanicpark-.ky. News now from the University College of the Cayman Islands. A total of 43 students, faculty, staff, and friends enjoyed an immersive overseas learning experience in Roatan, Honduras. That was back in May. The group was part of the UCCI annual International Business Practicum. Now, the 8th in a series of travel abroad courses offered by the UCCI Department of Business Studies. It enabled business students in the associate and bachelor's programs the chance to embrace education through experiential learning. Participants were tasked to evaluate and assess Rotan's economy while making comparisons to the Caymanian structure, enabling them to develop evaluative and analytical skills, which will aid in personal, academic, and professional undertakings. Now, the goal of this practicum was to identify strategies that would create and maintain a prosperous Caribbean society with a dynamic economy in a globalized world. Students of the learning experience from UCCI say they were able to build bonds with fellow students while learning at the same time. Well, for a look at our weekly schedule of programs here on CIG Television, you can go online to gis.gov.ky. If you happen to have missed today's news update, you can go to the Cayman Islands Government Facebook page, as well as the CIG Television YouTube channel. I'm Donna Bush, as always, thanking you for joining us, wishing you a wonderful and, of course, a very safe night, and hoping you'll join us back here again tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye for now.
Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know planning permission is required to clear land by mechanical means? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman's boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
The Esterly Tibbetts Highway 3-lane roundabout is ready for drivers. It's time to make sure you know how to use it. First, know which exit you need to take. Pay attention to lane arrows and signs. Make sure you use your signal to change lanes or exit the roundabout. To turn left, you always approach in the left-hand lane and indicate left. To drive straight ahead, you need to be looking out for signs and road markings indicating which lane to use. Get in one of the lanes marked with a straight-through arrow. If turning right, you must use the right-hand lane and indicate accordingly. To use the roundabout safely, remember these 3 tips. Know your exit, pick your lane, and signal to make your turn.
Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required?